This players only meeting that we have discussed throughout the week, just initially broad lens. Jimmy, what did you think of a players only meeting held on Sunday afternoon to not only address the passing game, but to address perhaps a lack of extreme focus in the week heading up to the Austin Peay game? What was your take?
My initial take is I like it because you have a players meeting when you're concerned. You have a players meeting when you don't think you're playing up to a standard. And Tennessee didn't play to its standard against Austin Peay. So they recognized there was a problem. It's not like, okay, yippee, we beat Austin Peay. Now let's focus on Florida. No. Gosh, I saw where Kentucky's coach, Mark Stoops, was like, hey, we beat Eastern Kentucky. I don't want to hear any complaining about it. No. Tennessee beat Austin Peay. And as Josh Heupel said afterward, is it a win? Absolutely. Do they need to get better? Absolutely. They have to play better than that in conference play. They have to play better than that if they want to beat Florida. For the fact that the players recognize that and would call a meeting and they're concerned about the level of play, I think is a good thing. Now, at 10 o'clock or 10:30 Saturday night, I might change my mind if Florida beats them. But on the just first blush, I think the meeting is a good thing because the players recognize they've got to play better.
Jimmy, is that something that you say maybe when Tennessee was down during the 2010s, late 2000s, they were lacking? I know the 98 team was all basically, as Davis covered for me over the past few months, I've learned that they were basically player-led specifically. Mm-hmm. But did you feel like the 2010s teams, whatever you want to say about the coaches, it just seemed like the coaches were always more concerned about what was happening than the players themselves?
Yeah, and I don't have 100% confirmation on this, but here's what I think. I think in the 2010s, they wouldn't have a players meeting because they didn't care enough. This team cares enough. That team, okay. All right, got beat, so what? Played a close game, so what? I just don't think they were as invested as this team. I don't think they were as invested with the coaching staff as they are with this staff. Look, they want to win for themselves. They want to win for the staff. They want to win for the fans. But I think it's the care factor is what led to that players meeting, whereas in the 2010s, I don't think they cared enough to have a players-only meeting.
You know, that's a great point. I want to kind of break it down like this, Jim. I think that probably 25% of the guys really, really cared and wanted to bring the rest on board. So if they had a players meeting, it's like, please care. Whereas I think 100% of these guys are invested and they're like, you better bleep and care or you're going to be in trouble. It feels like that to me.
Yeah, I think that is the case. And so I think that the players get after each other when necessary and in a good way. So I think I think that's a positive sign for this team that they do have enough care about. Look, I thought it was interesting day before the year, and you heard this at the SEC football media days when they talked about last year they're 11-2 and they win the Orange Bowl and they're ranked number 6 in the country, and we didn't achieve our goal. The goal was to win the East Division, and so they didn't achieve it. So they weren't all happy about last year, which I thought they would be. They were coming in with the mindset of we didn't achieve our goal. So I think there is a lot more players that are intentional about what they would like to accomplish at Tennessee.
We could debate over whether or not those were inaccurate passes, drop passes. I do think Joe Milton throws a heavy ball. I think it's a tough ball to catch. But the fact that he stands up and he says, I'm going to take all the blame, whether or not it's 100% his, I thought was incredibly strong.
Yeah, and he's I think he's a really good leader. I do have this concern about Joe Milton, and if you can find something to correct me, I'll listen. But I think he throws a ball that's hard to catch. I think if he throws a high pass at 90 miles an hour, they're not going to catch it. If he throws one low and away, it's coming so hard they're not going to catch it. Tell me the times that you can remember saying, boy, that was a great catch on a Joe Milton errant throw. I can tell you a whole bunch of times when Hendon Hooker, who threw a pass, it wasn't 100% accurate, where they made some really nice catches because Hooker threw a more catchable ball. With Milton, because he throws it so hard, I don't think we're going to be talking game in and game out about, man, that was a great catch. We'll talk more about catches that weren't made or catches or drops along the way. So there were some errant throws. I counted 3 drops. And if he didn't throw, I don't know, was it 18 completions at the line of scrimmage? His numbers would have been awful the other day. He started 1 out of 8 against Austin Peay. So I think because he throws a ball that's much harder to catch, you're not going to see a lot of acrobatic receptions by his receivers.
Interesting. I agree with that.
Jimmy, building on this a little bit, it's funny you talk about the players' care, and I wonder if part of that is still a reflection of the coaches, though, where you said, and I kind of see it this way, where I think Josh Heupel and the coaching staff has earned the respect of the players wanting to play for them, whereas the previous coaches didn't. I still remember Butch Jones in 2017, after you say they look at last year as a disappointment. Well, I remember after 2016, when Tennessee was supposed to win the East and finish 9-4 in 2017, Butch at SEC Media Days was like, well, I don't look at last year as a disappointment. And even the players had to be like, no, it is a disappointment. And so do you think part of this is a culture thing, that it does come down from Josh Heupel at the top, which it did not do with previous coaches?
Let's remember that under Butch Jones, they won the Gator Bowl championship and went 7-6. And he was all excited about that. Absolutely. The standard with this coaching staff and what their expectations are, I did like when Josh Heupel got here and inherited an absolute mess, that he would not put a ceiling on what the team could do. How many wins do you think you can get? He wouldn't go there. They just went out and tried to do the best they could do. I think the players really enjoyed playing for Heupel and the staff. I think they like going to practice. I think they like hanging around their coaching staff. And I think that makes a heck of a difference. Your attitude makes a big difference. And so, yeah, I think that I think there's more drive with this group rather than being satisfied by going 7-6 and winning the Gator Bowl.
Yeah, and I want to get to the special teams topic, because a great column by Jimmy. I think the special teams will maybe not win a game because they might not need it to, but I think they will contribute mightily to a couple of wins this season. But I do want to get to this. It is stupid we're playing a 6-year guy over an all-world freshman, that according to our message board. Here's what I was told by somebody within the program, Jimmy, and it was this. It was that there is no way, no matter how bad Joe Milton plays, that they're making any sort of change to Nico, that this is Joe's team, aside from injury, that the coaching staff absolutely loves Joe Milton. So I think I have at least set that aside. Have you heard anything different?
No, but I will say this. If Joe Milton throws 4 interceptions at Florida and they lose, and then he throws 4 interceptions against Texas San Antonio, and they barely win, they'll make a change. I believe that. So? I do. I think if he's got to struggle mightily.
Yeah, that's an extreme.
To make that change. An extreme. He's got to throw a whole bunch. He hadn't thrown an interception at Tennessee, right? So I don't expect that to happen. But if they're sitting there at Tennessee, sitting there at 4-4, and he's struggling and he's ineffective, I think they would make the change. So again, only under an extreme situation do I think a change would be made. I don't think it'll get to that, and I certainly wouldn't go with him. Here's the thing, too. I saw we're on the message board, Nico's all-world. How do you know that? Have you seen him in practice? Just because he's got 5 stars attached to him. Clemson just got rid of a quarterback that was a 5-star guy. What was his name? DJ Uiagalelei? He's not even at Clemson anymore. Just because you're a 5-star doesn't mean you're a great player. Now, do I think Nico's going to be a great player? I do. But I've also been told by some folks in the program he's not ready yet. And that stands to reason. Not many true freshmen are.
Yeah.
And I would just add –
go ahead, Gabe.
So I would add, too, before we wrap this part up, it's not even thinking about this year. From what I've understood, is Nico is not at the weight he needs to be at yet to play SEC ball. So you bring him out there and before he's ready and he gets broken in half, well, you could ruin his whole career because of that, sophomore, junior, and senior year.
Yeah, I think of Jimmy. I think of Patrick Ramsey with Steve Spurrier for the Redskins. That poor guy. I don't know if he was going to be good or not, and we'll never know because he got the HE double hockey sticks beat out of him early and often.
Yeah, and Nico is very thin. He does need to put on some weight. He does need to get stronger, no doubt about that. Now, am I excited about what I think his future will be? Yes, but I don't think that – look, I'll just say this. If he takes over as a quarterback at Tennessee this year, Tennessee's having a bad year and Joe Milton's having a bad year. So the fans that are clamoring for that, I think, are misguided by that. It just means Tennessee's they're struggling mightily, or they would, or Nico wouldn't be the starting quarterback. So I I almost think it's pretty silly for people to be thinking about, yep, let's go with Nico right now. That makes no sense to me.
Nope, totally agree. There were a couple of boos in the stands, and I know all Twitter went a little bit crazy, even in the Virginia game when there were just a couple of errant passes by Joe Milton. But I don't think we're anywhere close to that.